Computer.
Happening.
Yay! Hey, everybody, it's Yasmin Boland here with your weekly astrology. And this week we have something that is absolutely super special for you. I'm so glad you've tuned in. We are going to be speaking to two very amazing people who I've never actually met in the flesh, but I've got to know a little bit online over Zoom, over the months and even the years of the pandemic. And before I introduce them, I just want to say I'm actually sitting at a desk which is facing the exact direction that Michael told me my desk should face. And next door, those of you who know that I'm renovating, we have toilets left, right, and center that are facing the exact direction that Michael has told me that we should face. But we're actually not talking about desks or directions or toilets today, although I will put a link to the chat I had online with Michael about toilets a little while ago because it was extremely information packed. Today we're going to be talking about mantra. So guys, just say hello to everybody and just give them a little potted history of, you know, what you guys do, because they're amazing. They live in San Diego, and I happen to know they're proud grandparents. But what do you do on a professional basis? Tell us.
Michael and I are involved in the science of architecture from India called Vastu Shastra. And Vastu is the science that predates feng shui by about 2,500 years. And it is about aligning your body and your environment to the forces of nature so that you thrive. And because we are our blood has iron and our nervous system is electric, we are basically electromagnetic tuning forks. So the whole premise is that by aligning to these forces of nature, you're able to be more productive, your health becomes better, your relationships improve, and you actually enhance your well-being in a way that is very different than previous, without having a sense of what Vastu can do for you.
Yeah. And honestly, I could talk to these guys about Vastu for, you know, hours and hours and hours. But today we're actually talking about mantra. And I'm going to tell you why I'm talking to these guys, especially if you happen to have my Moonology Diary 2022. I don't think we had them in last year, but we've definitely got them in this year. We've got every month, every new moon, there's a mantra in there. And I honestly believe that, well, for one thing, I believe that the time has come for mantra. And I'm going to ask these guys if they agree with that and why they think that might be the case. But I just want to say those mantras in the diary, if you've got the diary, you know, what actually happened was I was in India at the ashram that I've been going to on and off for about 16, 17 years now. And I said to my teacher, because you go up, sometimes you get a chance to go up and ask a question. I said to my teacher, I really want to include some mantras in my diary. What can I do? And so my teacher, Sri Shakti Narayani Amma, said, oh, you should do the 9 planetary mantras. And I thought, oh, okay, that sounds really good. So I did a little bit of research and there were different ones that you could use. I wasn't really sure. And then some of you will remember, especially during the pandemic, I went on and on and on about this particular book called Sound Medicine. Weirdly enough, I was sent 5 copies of this book by the publishers, but kind of by the universe. It was like every time I got up, there was another copy of Sound Medicine dropping into my letterbox. I was like, okay, this is really a sign. And I read it and it blew my mind. And Kulreet goes to the same ashram that I do. So again, I've never met Kulreet in the flesh, but I know her well enough to say, oh, can we talk about this? And I actually did a Facebook interview with her. So we talked a lot about that. And I said, actually, I've got this thing where I really want to include mantras in the diary, but I'm just learning about them. And everything I know about mantra, really, I've learned in India. And I'd like to just a little bit speak to someone a bit more informed. And she said, you should speak to Michael Mastro, which is how I met Michael and his beautiful wife, Robin, and they do amazing, amazing work. So shall we just get straight into what is a mantra? Shall we just go straight into it? Because now we've started a few times and I can't even remember what we said and we haven't said. Tell us about mantras, please, guys.
Mantra is a frequency or a sound or a vibration that affects the environment and our physiology in a very positive way. And there are thousands of mantras for different specific things. If you want to attract more love in your life, or if you want to attract more prosperity, if you want to improve your health, etc. Many, many yantras, and they all have very powerful effects. So yes.
And so, yeah, go on, Robin.
They are actually the sound frequency usually of a yantra, which is in Sanskrit, which is the language of the mantras that we use. Sound and form are the same. So a yantra, which a lot of people have seen, like this behind us, which is the Sri Lakshmi mantra, yantra, is the physical representation of the mantra, which is the frequency sound. So sound and form are the same. When you have a yantra like this in your environment, it's emitting the frequency of the mantra.
Amazing. And I happen to know, or at least this is what she told me, that Coolreek's next book is about yantras. So she's done mantras and now she's going to do yantras. So, okay, so so with the yantra behind you, just now that we've mentioned it, I just got a couple of questions. Number one is, so by having the yantra in the house like that, in your office or wherever you are, is that to you almost like playing the mantra non-stop, except it's silent? Is that kind of what it's like?
It's well, this particular mantra, yantra, is Lakshmi. Lakshmi is the goddess. The energy of Lakshmi is the goddess of prosperity, abundance, and beauty, success, fertility. So all those things that you want when you're creative and or desiring to bring more success into your life, it emits that energy throughout the environment, and it is
very literally, it's kind of emitting energy.
It emits energy, and this particular yantra is the most powerful of all yantras. So it just does all of what the individual yantras do specifically that enhance a specific energy. This one encompasses everything. It's like the mother goddess.
And is it a Sri yantra?
Yes.
Right. Yes.
We call it the Sri yantra or the Sri Lakshmi yantra.
Right. Yes. Oh, yes. I love that. That's the amazing one. So, and again, I still want to come back to like how you got into this and all this, but just to ask you, when you get, just say if I go to, here in London, we have a place called Southall, which is about 45 minutes west of where I live. And it's a very big Indian community. It's like Little India in London. And I could go and I could buy one of those in a shop and I could bring it home. Can I just put it on my wall and it's going to start emitting, or do I have to do a ceremony? Do I have to know more about it, or can I just use it and just put it up there?
Yes, it can be energized with the mantra, and it's much more powerful. And it should be placed on, if you have an altar or in the northeast area of the house. Those are two good places to place the yantra.
For the Sri yantra in particular, the Lakshmi yantra. And then would a
Yes.
Saraswati yantra go somewhere else and
Yes.
Right. Because again, I want to stay on mantras, and these guys, the way they do Vastu, it's amazing. But Michael helped me. I actually bought his Vastu home curing course, and we had a kind of a Zoom where I went around the house with tiny little yantras on stickers, and Michael did them at chant, and yeah, we just put them everywhere. So for example, I have an amazing woodcut Sri yantra. So I should do some chanting, Lakshmi chanting in front of that. And is it okay if it's not in the northeast? Because I don't even know where it is in my house, but it's when you walk in, it's kind of in the entrance hall, because I like to have that energy when you walk in. Is it okay to have it there if that's not the northeast?
I think wherever you put it, intuitively, you'll know where it resonates the best for you. But you can also use it to ignite an altar. And, it's very powerful to have on your altar, no matter what direction it's in. But as Michael was saying, it's at home in the northeast. So
maybe I'll get another one and I'll put that there as well.
You can take it traveling with you. You can put it in your wallet. You can sleep with it under your mattress at the head of the bed. You can do
Along
all
with
kinds.
my amethysts.
Yes, along with your amethyst. Indeed.
Right, right. Okay. So, and the other thing was that when we did a thing about, we've actually had to restart this recording a couple of times because I kept messing up the recording. So I'm not sure if I mentioned this or not yet, but I did this really interesting talk with Michael about toilets and where your toilet is meant to be in your house for the best results. And we've literally sort of put our toilets in the renovation based on what he said. And one thing you said, Michael, was that, you can just put, I'm pretty sure it was a Sri Yantra, a Lakshmi Yantra above the bathroom, didn't you? And that even if your toilet is in the wrong place, putting that up there will be a step in the right direction. Was it a Sri Yantra?
Yes, outside the toilet room.
Yes.
Not inside where the toilet is, but outside.
Outside and above the door.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. So if anybody's listening and they're thinking, oh God, what if my toilet's in the wrong place, or if life's really difficult, it can be the toilet. And just get yourself just Google Sri Yantra, or actually we could you sell them, don't you? Especially it's easy within the States.
Yes.
That is it. Vastucreations.com is your website.
Yes.
Right.
So you can we've actually got a gift for everybody to do with Lakshmi at the end of today's chat, but Michael and Robin do actually have a store on, so it's Vastu, VASTU creations plural.com, and you can get your Sri Yantras there as well. And so what you're saying is then do a bit of chanting to the yantra when you get it into your house, just to kind of energize it.
Yes.
It's like you want a relationship with this energy.
Yeah.
And so it isn't just like admiring it, even though that actually is very good for you
especially
really,
for Lakshmi.
Yes, but it is allowing yourself to really open to what that energy can provide. And so doing that, I mean, this may be getting off the subject, but it's
really
like,
hard to stay on track because there's so much.
I know, and there's so many things that we can, but it is like when you allow yourself to have a relationship with this kind of energy, it is really just knowing that maybe you don't know as much as that energy can provide for you. So you open to that energy, and that's where an altar makes it very accessible, is that when you are in relationship with this altar, using any of the yantras that are either specific for the altar's direction or for the Sri Yantra, which is generally the most supportive yantra for all kinds of occasions and all kinds of situations, it opens your heart and allows that divine consciousness to support you.
Yeah, yeah. So, and I should say, because there are going to be people who are listening to this who actually can't see the yantra behind you, just Google Sri Yantra and you will see, or find us on Facebook and you'll see the video. Okay, so let's try and just bring it back to mantras a bit, because even though I could talk about yantras all day, let's talk about mantra, which is a little bit easier for people to understand. So a mantra, we've said, is a vibration. One thing my teacher in India, Sri Shakti Narayana, says, is like, you don't learn the words of a chant because they're not words, they're vibrations, they're Sanskrit vibrations.
Right.
So I'd love to take it back to the beginning and say, do you remember when you heard your first mantra? Where were you when you started to learn about mantras? And, how did mantras come into your life? Because, Michael, you were just a straight architect at one point, weren't you?
Yes. At a very young age, I met Maharishi Mahesh Yogi and I learned transcendental meditation. And that was my first experience with a mantra. And like you said, mantras have meanings, but we don't really pay attention to what they mean, because that will hold the mind on the, more of the material level. You want to go deeper inside. And so the mantra that is like a diving board to take the mind deep inside into your consciousness, so that you can transcend everything and release stress that builds up in our life. The purpose of meditation is to experience more quality of life by getting rid of the stress that stands in our way. And so the mantra is very powerful that way.
So how did you come to meet the Maharishi Mahesh Yogi? Was it
Yes,
in the States, or did you go to India? What happened?
No, he was in the States and in San Francisco, and I just happened to be in the right place at the right time and heard him speak. Mm-hmm. And then later on, he asked me to design some buildings in Rishikesh, and that's where I learned about Vastu and got to design the first Microsoft building using the science of Vastu.
That worked out pretty well.
Yes, very fortunate.
I keep telling my husband, darling, I know how I've got, what's his name? Was it Bill Gates? Is that who it was? Bill Gates?
Yeah.
I get all my, my Bill Gates and my Elon Musks and my Steve Jobs mixed up. I know what Bill Gates did for his first desk, darling. It was L-shaped and it was partly facing here and partly facing here. And we're going to have that. So my husband's quite a tech guy, so he's quite into the idea. Okay, so you started, this probably sounds a bit like me, you just went to India eventually, and then when you're in India, you're basically constantly surrounded by mantra, which
correct.
I love the idea. Again, I'm sorry for people who are listening who can't see it, but behind Michael and Robin, we have a beautiful picture of a mantra. And I love the idea that that's almost like having, like in India, when you've got these mantras playing all the time, in a way you've got this mantra machine behind you that you can't hear it, but it's putting out the vibes.
Yes.
Okay, so it kind of started like that. Why do you think that the whole world, I mean, maybe not the whole world, but my whole world, why is everybody suddenly embracing mantra? Do you have a theory? I'm asked all the time, why do I think astrology has suddenly become so popular? And in brief, my answer is always because of technology, and now anybody can work out their chart in 3 seconds, and they read them, they go, oh my God, it's so accurate. So, why do you have a theory about why mantra has suddenly caught on? Is it maybe the yoga movement? I mean, most people who've done yoga will at least have started by saying Om, do you think it's to do with that? Or
I think right now on the planet, I mean, we've been really put through our paces, especially it's been a global kind of shutdown. It took that maybe for us to just realize that we don't have all the answers, and that we maybe as a collective are looking at alternative ways of reducing the stress that we're all feeling because we've been locked down. Yeah. And so we've had to confront ourselves. We've had to look at our lives. You see, they can't get people to do certain jobs anymore because people realize it doesn't suit them. It's not in harmony with them, but maybe they don't know what else is. So they're looking online, they're paying attention to things that maybe they hadn't paid attention to before. So the collective consciousness, I believe, is making a shift, and that this is the time. This is actually this month and next month. It's like we're moving through this planetary shift, and also coming out of like this deep operation that we've all been in for the last, 24 months, maybe even more for a lot of people. And we're coming to that point where we're actually going to start moving forward. And as this energy speeds up, and I'm talking this is from my intuition because I'm not the astrologer like the two of you, but I just feel that we are starting to like get on the right course, and that this year is more of that preparation. And I think next year is going to be, we're going to be moving in an entirely different direction. So now is very, very powerful time for us to open to up our consciousness and allow something new to come in. And the mantra is something that has a definite effect on the physiology, and it makes people feel good.
Yeah.
We are, this isn't our first rodeo. We've been here many times, and the mantras have a familiarity to them because they've been on the planet for thousands and thousands of years. So when we hear that mantra, it takes us back into the the very depths of our being. It
It's
touches the depths of our being.
it's like I remember once we were in Rishikesh and I couldn't sleep at night because I kept hearing the puja. It was everywhere. It's like
Puja being a prayer ceremony.
it is like a sacred ceremony where they call in the forces of nature to support a specific action or to allow nature to have more presence in people's lives and to burn away that which is an illusion. And so it just feels like now that there is that planetary shift, there's a more subtle energy coming in, and people are feeling more attuned to these kind of maybe newer ways of focusing their awareness. And maybe it isn't really something that they're used to, but like Michael was saying, there's a familiarity there. It's because we've actually experienced this in other lives.
I'm just making a note of a question I want to ask you. Yeah, one thing I was going to say regarding what you're talking about is also, and it's just sitting here now in, February 2022, I'm thinking this, but, we've all been wanting this blasted pandemic to be over for a long time, but I almost feel like, I think in my case, it had to go on for a certain amount of time. I almost could cry saying this, but it had to go on for a certain amount of time to crack us open. Because I think I remember saying quite early on in the piece of the pandemic, everyone was saying, oh, like say 3-4 months in, everyone's going, oh, it's going to be a different world once we come out of it. And I would think, no, it's not. Everyone's just in a hurry to get back to normal, But now I think it went so long, the 2 years, like you say, there's the big quit, which I've spoken about on this show before with Sonia Choquette, who's a really wonderful spiritual teacher. And she was saying, it's people waking up to the fact of how they actually want to live their lives. And it's almost like it had to go on and on and on. And maybe, to give us the time to be at home and to spend time on our own. And anyway, I'm kind of getting off the subject. I want to ask you two questions. The first one is, if someone's listening to this and they're thinking, oh, that sounds interesting, I might go and look up some mantras. Is it safe to just go online, go to YouTube and, find a Lakshmi chant for prosperity that someone's put up there and just chant it? Can you just launch yourself in like that, or do you have to do it differently?
Everybody finds their path, whatever way. If somebody has found their way to this recording and they feel drawn, it's like the doors will continue to open. Yeah. And I think one thing is just to know that there's a lot of information out there, and people are guided to where they belong. Don't question your intuition. Allow yourself to just open up to this journey. And I feel, for many months last year, Michael and I did this thing every week called Mantra Mondays. So that's great. Yeah, if anybody's interested in chanting along with us, it was a lot of fun to do. And there's other things. You just need to know that you'll be guided.
Yeah. So why do you think that, those of us raised in the Christian tradition, why do you think we don't have sort of Christian or Hebrew chanting the same way that they have it in Hinduism? Any thoughts on that? Or did they have it and they lost it? We lost it? Or
it's actually, chanting mantra is in every tradition, every culture. And I think we say in the Judeo-Christian tradition, we say amen. And it's like there is the Farsi say hum, the Ommmm is in the Hindu and the Buddhist tradition. It's
Shalom in the Jewish tradition.
Yeah, it's in every tradition. It's just that I think in the tradition that you and we come from, it is really more a sacredness, and we focus our attention and our intention on those sounds because we can feel them in our physiology. And I think that in Western culture, we've kind of lost our connection to the divine. And so it takes some effort, unless you're a very religious person, very committed to your spiritual practice, to actually allow something new into your life. Mantra for people in the West is going to be maybe foreign to them in the beginning, but as Michael has said before, there is this resonance that lives within us. It feels so good to do mantras, to chant, and to feel them in our physiology. We don't need to think about what they mean. We can feel what they do. They open this doorway so that we can sink deep into meditation, so we can feel good during our day. It releases the stress. It allows us to feel more supported by nature.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because actually, I mean, one of the mantras that I got, and I've been using it a bit this year because of the Jupiter-Uranus action that we've got, that's sort of hopefully helping us all turn the corner, like now. And it's the Jupiter mantra, and it's Om Namo Bhagavate Vamana Devaya Namaha. And so I looked up Vamana, and it's like a dwarf, which is so weird, because Jupiter is like the biggest planet, but this dwarf is able to step from one planet to the next and all this. And I was thinking, oh, that just confuses me. So maybe that's why you say don't worry too much about what they mean. I mean, what do you think, Michael? Because it's such a beautiful mantra when you say it, but it's like, what?
Exactly. Don't pay any attention to what meanings you find online. It's the vibration. It's that Devata energy that supports that particular planet that is having this effect on you and the environment. So yeah, don't pay. A lot of the mantras, when you look up the meanings, it just doesn't make any sense at all. So yeah, don't.
Okay, so you just don't worry about that.
Right.
Okay,
it's the vibration.
Right. I'll stay with my Jupiter mantra. I love that. So we've only got a couple of minutes left. So let's talk about the gift that you have so kindly offered to give everybody who's listening or watching this, which is a Lakshmi mantra. Is that right?
Lakshmi, a mantra and yantra, the phonetic spelling of it, so that you know how to pronounce it properly, which is important, and the audio file, so that you can listen to me chanting it, so that you can follow along looking at the phonetics if you don't know Sanskrit, and the visual, the yantra representation of the sound that you can download, print out, cut out, put in various places, which I've instructed within the information that I've given. So,
and can we just get a blast of the mantra for people who are listening?
Yeah.
Do you remember it?
My mind just kind of like
Om Shrim Klim.
Om Shrim Klim Lakshmi Narayana Vyam Namaha.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you. So, guys, I'll tell you how to get it, because we do have to wrap up. It's moonmessages.com/Mastro, which is M for Mary, MASTRO, and the number 1. So moonmessages.com/Mastro1, and you will get the Lakshmi mantra and the yantra. We are out of time, guys. So thank you so much for being here today. I'm so grateful. I'm just going to end the recording. So thank you, guys. And we'll speak again another time.